Welcome, everyone. We're going to wait a couple seconds to allow some attendees to join the webinar. Okay. Hello, my name is Anna, and it's my pleasure as the Assistant Director of Constituent Relations to welcome you all to this 49er Industry Chat. Before we get started, we just like to remind you that this session is being recorded, and afterwards it'll be available on our website, csulbalumni.edu/alumni. csulb.edu/alumni, yes. And then once it's posted, feel free to share this with friends, other alumni, or someone that you think could benefit from this chat. Also, during this call, please feel free to utilize the Q&A. So if you have any questions you want to ask our guest speaker, I may have not touched upon, feel free to do that. Rosalinda is our moderator, so she'll be overseeing the chat during this call. And now I would like to introduce our alumni host, Gabe Middleton. Welcome. I'm going to start off just by reading his bio really quick, and then we'll let him introduce himself. So Gabe is the co-founder and CEO of Human IT, a nonprofit social enterprise that turns obsolete technology into opportunity. Based originally in Los Angeles and now operating nationally and with teammates across multiple countries, Human IT partners with corporations to securely refurbish electronics and reinvest them into undeserved communities through device donation, training, and internet access initiatives. To date, the organization has diverted over 20 million pounds of e-waste and distributed more than 500,000 devices into the circular economy across all 50 states and thousands of partnerships with businesses of all sizes, including Fortune 500 companies. Gabe and his co-founder, James Jack, began building Human IT while working out of his grandfather's garage into a multi-state impact-driven operation. His leadership bridges sustainable operations with social justice, championing conscious capitalism, and purpose-led leadership. A graduate from CSULB who earned his degree in psychology, Gabe applies a human-centered lens to nonprofit strategy and team building. So without further ado, Gabe, thank you so much for being here. Welcome. Anything I may have missed, I know you guys have also received a lot of awards. Please feel free to share.
I think that was pretty extensive. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for that intro.
Yes, welcome. All right, well, we can kind of start jumping into some of our first questions. And, first one usually is tell us a little bit about your background and like what led you to attend Cal State Long Beach and choose that university.
Yeah, so it was a lot of serendipity involved in my journey. I think a lot of entrepreneurs who have started and grown a business can probably relate to that. And but my journey started obviously when I was born here in Southern California. I was born in Los Angeles, and for the first 10 years or so of my life, I moved all around LA with my family. My parents brought me up in the grocery industry, and my dad really worked hard and to climb the corporate ladder over time, and that caused us to move to many different places as he got promoted. And so, yes, I was born in Los Angeles, spent many years of my adolescence in the LA area, but I like to say the Southwest raised me. Just because throughout my childhood, we moved a ton. Like I said, all over LA County to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Denver, Colorado. I even spent a little bit of time in Las Vegas as well. So just various cities across the Southwest I was able to experience growing up. And I actually graduated high school in a small Catholic school just about 15 minutes north of Denver. And when I graduated high school, I realized that California has my heart still. LA is my home. And throughout my journey of growing up, I was lucky enough to spend a few years in Long Beach growing up. And I realized that I wanted to actually go specifically back to Long Beach. But I wasn't a great high school student, so I didn't really have tremendous grades. And, Cal State Long Beach is a very difficult school to get into. So as an 18-year-old, I don't think I qualified right away. So I did my first couple years at Long Beach Community College, LBCC.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, and just
Our neighbors.
got my act together. Started taking academics a lot more seriously, I should say. Did much better as a community college student. Started maturing a bit, and was lucky enough to be accepted into Cal State Long Beach after 2 years at LBCC.
Okay.
And I knew that Cal State Long Beach was always my number one school that I wanted to get
Hmm.
into. I fell in love with the community of Long Beach at a very young age, and have been living in Long Beach after high school ever since. So, 15 plus years living in the community of Long Beach. I don't regret for 1 second, that decision, because, for those of us who know, it's such a tight knit, feels like a small community, but it's a big city.
Yes.
Um,
Big town, small vibes. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Beach
Everyone knows each
vibes, laid
other.
back, diverse, really, really nice people who really care for each other. And in the Cal State Long Beach, the campus itself, I think, really represents that
The
in a very,
diversity.
very cool way. Um, and so after, like I said, after a few years at LBCC, I decided to attend Cal State Long Beach, and was lucky enough to do another 2 years of studying and growing as a young individual, and graduated in 2011, and decided to start my business a couple years after that. And I'm sure we're going to maybe get into the details later. But long story short is, started my business, grew it, and spent a couple years in New York City. Recently moved back to Long Beach just a few months ago, and just been
Welcome
working on
back.
growing human IT ever since.
Yeah. And then were you in any student clubs during your time at Cal State Long Beach?
I was definitely very involved and active in various clubs. I was active in the Greek system. I'm
Nice.
a Delta Chi. I'm very proud of that, and I thought that was a crucial part of my experience. Is I feel like if you're going to college, and you're, of course, you're getting an amazing education, but that's only half of
Hmm.
it. I think the people that you meet, and just the experimentation that you get to experience with different clubs, and meeting people that you may have never come across unless you're active on campus. It's just such an important part to and growing as an individual. And
Yeah.
I don't, because when you're younger, you think you know what you want, but you're kind of not all the way sure. And you kind of have to roll things out through experience.
Hmm.
And I think clubs and activities, in my experience at Delta Chi, definitely helped me experience some of those things, specifically being the philanthropy chair for a semester.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I was lucky enough to be the philanthropy chair, where my responsibility was to raise money for the Jimmy V Foundation during the semester, and I was able to start and host events where we would raise funds for cancer research,
Hmm.
and that was just a very eye-opening experience and rewarding experience for me at the time. Being 20 some years old, and I realized that I really fell in love with that feeling of giving back during that
Oh,
experience.
amazing. Yeah.
I didn't know that I would start a career of giving back full time, but I knew that it would be nice if I can do that. I can do that as often as I could. I just couldn't put the puzzle pieces together until a few years later to say, hey, that's going to look like human IT.
Right.
But my journey was definitely shaped not only by the academics and the amazing professors that I was able to learn from throughout my time at CSULB, but all of the amazing friends and experiences that I had through Greek life. And as a matter of fact, some of the friends that I made through my experience at Delta Chi helped me start my business.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah,
Right, and,
great
and
way to
some of
network just
and
by being
some
in these
of them still work
clubs.
here, all right, all these years later. So yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's
awesome.
very important to be active in other groups outside of just going to class.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. It's like it just helps with that resume building and that skill building aside from, just your regular classes. And you never think about that. Just by joining a club, you could gain that skill set. So yeah, and help, direct you to now your future goals and job that you have now. So I guess since graduating, were there any big challenges that you've faced transitioning out as from like a student and into that professional world? Like, how did you like overcome that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just I think for a lot of people, when you graduate, it just feels like a so what now moment
Hmm.
sometimes. Like, what do I do now? I've just been a student my whole life, basically, right? And now it's time to go into the real world. And how do I transition into that? And it feels like a very serious decision at the time. But being away from college life for, you know, quite some 15 years now, you realize it's not as serious as you may think. It's okay to stumble your way through what eventually will be your career. And you still have time to learn and to grow and to experience new things and to rule things out. Like it doesn't end right when you graduate. But yeah, it's still scary nonetheless. And I spent a lot of time, learning about the brain at school. I took a lot of neuropsych classes because I just was fascinated about how the brain works. And I thought at the time I wanted to help veterans through certain mental health situations. And I even volunteered at the VA that's connected to the campus.
Yeah, next door.
Yes, doing that work and realize that I'm just not tough enough to work in a hospital. That's I gained a lot of respect for healthcare workers who are really doing that hard work every day. And I realized that just working in a hospital environment just wasn't for me. But again, this is kind of part of the ruling out process that I went through early on, and that really kind of scared me because I was just like, okay, now I'm like really venturing off away from my major and what I thought for sure I wanted to do. And I started doing some reflection, and I realized like I'm a technologist. I've always loved being around new technology, messing around with new technology, using technology to make my personal life better. So I was like, well, maybe I want to be around some cutting edge tech by being an IP lawyer, working on patents and things like that. I was really just kind of looking for anything that I could be passionate about. And that led me to preparing for the LSAT. And that was a really important part of my journey because it taught me a new way of thinking. How do you think? How do you approach a situation with certain logic? And how do you think about certain scenarios as if you needed to be an attorney? And just that still to this day, I learned some of the techniques that I learned through that preparation in those courses I use, to be quite honest. So I'm a big fan of learning how to think that way. And as I was studying and preparing to transition into law school, I was rooming with who is now co-founder James Jack. We were roommates, and he was telling me about if I knew about the growing problem of electronic waste. And I was like, electronic what? Like, what's e-waste? Like, I didn't really even know what that was or any kind of the particulars or the metrics behind it. And when we started exploring, okay, like what is e-waste? Well, it's the fastest growing waste stream in the world. It's 2% of our trash, but 70% of our toxic waste. And it's a major environmental problem. And I still to this day, and have been for a long time, really care about the environment and wanted to see if maybe I can play a part into helping take care and be a good steward of our planet. So that really resonated with me of like, it grabbed my attention of like, oh, what can be done about electronic waste? And then at the same time during that conversation, realizing and understanding the degree of the severity behind the digital divide, which there's still a quarter of Americans and billions of people around the world who don't have access to the digital tools that they need to be a full digital citizen in a digital world. That includes, a good working computer in your home, high-speed internet connection, access, digital literacy training, technical support services. Like you need all of those digital inclusion services to reach your fullest potential in today's digital economy. And so I was like, wow, those are two problems here. What if we bring those two problems together and create one solution? And that's how we kind of came up with the concept of human IT. And just to kind of keep it simple at the time, how I was thinking about it, and I was researching, like, okay, is anyone doing this type of work? And when I was doing that research and Googling what existed, I realized that electronic waste, over 70% of it was being shipped overseas, where crude methods were used to extract the commodities in these electronic components, and it was poisoning people, because they're burning the stuff over open air to extract the stuff. So it's poisoning their water and their air supply. And so that was a problem. And then I was like, well, we know what to do with our clothes and and our shoes and our jackets when we're done with them. Like it's a no-brainer. Salvation Army,
Yeah,
Goodwill,
places to drop off
make
or
a
donate.
donation. It's kind of easy, but like, is there a Salvation Army or Goodwill experience for electronic waste? Like, what do we do?
Hmm.
And I just couldn't find anything like that, especially locally. I saw a lot of scrap metal yards and recycling companies like who again were just shipping this stuff overseas.
Oh, right, but not repurposing them,
Not
essentially.
repurposing it. Yeah, because we don't have a supply problem, right? We just
Hmm.
have an upcycling, reconditioning problem to get it into the hands of those who need it most. There really just wasn't a scaled mechanism to do that that we saw. So, being 24 years old with no responsibilities and no experience, we're like, why not us? Why don't we just do it then?
Right.
And so I quit my law school dreams, went to my grandpa's garage with James and $800 to my name, lived off of Jack in the Box
Oh my gosh.
sausage with not the biscuits because that was too expensive. If you get the hamburger buns, it's 98 cents instead of $2.19 at the time. It's probably more expensive than now, but just really grinding and hustling and bootstrapping the business to just survive. To see if this experiment and this idea can take hold and enough people cared about it, and um, we survived long enough to get the right attention and to create the right inertia and flywheel to continue to grow and eventually reach a
Hmm.
point of scale to where we're at today, which is, hundreds of people working on this mission and millions of pounds being diverted every year while we're helping hundreds of thousands of people across the country become digital citizens and get on the right side of the digital divide. So there's a lot in between there, but
Yeah,
that's
no,
kind of where
that's
it started.
amazing. Yeah, and it kind of, it's again interesting that you being that philanthropy chair kind of started to bloom and grow that idea of, pursuing that nonprofit world now. And it kind of sounds like it was more of that intentional journey that didn't necessarily just land there. So
Looking back, it seems so obvious, right? But looking forward, you can't. It's
yeah,
hard. You
you
don't
can't
see
foresee
it.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like and human and when we started human IT, it really clicked for me like early on. Like, oh, this is where I belong. That did
mm-hmm.
I did feel that, and it gave me the passion and the will and the grit to like survive again early on when everything was difficult, no money, no one believed in what was happening, and it was very difficult. You got to have a lot of grit to survive those times. But the thing that made a lot of sense to me is okay, I get to work with technology every day. I
Mm-hmm.
get to hold on to that. I get to give back every day, feeling
Right.
that I got to experience in college. And the other thing that I love is I love playing sports, and I love being a part of a team. And so I get to build a team to help scale the mission and pursue the mission and make an impact on people and the planet every day. And I like that experience. I got to incorporate all three of those elements and those passions into one job. I knew that this is where I belonged.
That's amazing. And then can you touch upon a little more too, as being a psychology major, and maybe even, your time when you were studying as a law student, how your academic background helped prepare you to be in like this leadership role and even try to, join this entrepreneurship and now managing multiple teams, especially now that you're nationally.
My journey is a little bit different, right? I started really young with no experience, so
Hmm.
it's not like I had an MBA and then I'm coming in with
Right.
all of these like refined skills and hard skills to allow me to be successful as a CEO today. Like I'm a founder, right? And I bootstrapped this, and
Hmm.
I learned most of my lessons through just gaining scars and even surviving the hard times. But I think what my college education helped me develop is kind of the third pillar that I alluded to a second ago, which is like working with people, right?
Hmm.
Like you learn to work with different people who you don't know, who are young adults in college to get a particular project done on time, which feels very stressful at the time. Um, Trying to get other people to do things so you can complete a project and get a good grade. And also, you're finding a new sense of independence at that age where
Hmm.
no one's going to tell you or wake you up to go to class, and you're not forced. No one's going to call your mom because you didn't show up or whatever, right? You either show up or you don't. You either get the job done or you don't. And there's a level of grit to that, that I think I learned about myself as I was like, studying and working with others in various courses, that I can set a goal to get a degree and I can show up and do the work and work with other people to accomplish that goal. And
Hmm.
sometimes that momentum is what you need to kind of build the confidence for whatever it is that you're going to have to do that's really difficult next. And I think that's obviously that, and meeting some really smart and awesome people to help me grow the business through
Right.
some of the groups that I mentioned earlier. All those things together really help me accomplish, starting the company and get to where I am now. All that started at CSULB.
Okay. And now with based on where you are, I'm sure it was a lot of grinding, as you mentioned in the start. What does a typical day look like now in your role?
There is no typical day. I think that is what that is like the only thing that's consistent is that it's not consistent. Um, I think that's what also makes it fun, right? Like I get to do this. It's a privilege to be a CEO of a company that's growing and making an impact in areas that you care about. And I feel very blessed and very lucky to do this
Hmm.
job. Um, but the challenges that come along with it is you have to be very malleable, multifaceted, and be willing to handle things far into the future, things that have happened now, today, and
Right.
things that you have to still deal with that happened yesterday or before, right? And whether you're dealing with board members talking about where we're going to do in a year or 2 years from now, getting people aligned to that vision and bought into that.
Hmm.
Um, to okay, what do we need to sprint towards to build the right infrastructure or the right operational workflows or teams, right? And then we're recruiting people to come in and fulfill a particular role to get what needs to get done today. Um, and making sure that I am modeling well and actioning out, through and basically conveying through action in particular what our human IT culture is about, right? By constantly reminding people, about our mission and our values and our principles and how they tie into people's work in the day to day. So
Right.
it's a lot of everything, a little bit of everything, I should say, right? That kind of culminating into a lot of work, but it's a labor of love, no doubt. I mean, this is something that I co-founded and started, and so to see it kind of manifest into what it is today, it doesn't feel like work because James and I, as you used to always say, growing up, growing up together for sure, but building this company is we wanted to monetize our lifestyle, and monetizing
Hmm.
our lifestyle of giving back and making a difference is something we've definitely done. So that's when you can really live that. Again,
Hmm.
it's a privilege, but it makes getting through the hard times a little bit easier.
Okay. And then, with you guys scaling up and being more of that national organization, have there been like any, I guess, can you give us an example of what's been like the biggest scaling challenge that you've learned to solve or overcome with you guys growing?
Oh, that's a tough one because there's just so many. I mean, we've been doing this for
Hmm.
14 years almost. So I think when you organically grow like we have, there's
Hmm.
never just one moment that caused something to just automatically. There are many moments, right? It really is a flywheel effect. Like you just kind of have to build on one small win to a bigger win, and it kind of snowballs
Hmm.
into the situation. And you kind of look around, and you're like, wow, like what we built and like where we're at now. And then
Right.
don't get too happy about it and just keep working.
Hmm.
But you kind of look up every once in a while. You're like, wow, we've come a long way. And that's just done through taking the next step. Just like, what do we need to do today? Do it. What do we need to do tomorrow? Do it. Don't look at the top floor. Don't look at the destination too long. We used to have a saying that we used all the time. We're like, let's not get so enamored with where we want to go and looking in the stars and then fall right in the hole in front of us.
Hmm.
And we really kind of live that. And so we don't really like, oh, there was this one moment and then it all started to work out for us. Um, but there's to answer the question, I think to kind of focus on maybe a few of the moments that were key to allow us to build that inertia that I'm describing was um, 2014 or 15, a couple of years into our journey. We were lucky enough to partner with the city of Los Angeles and create a program called Our Cycle LA. And it was during the time of when Windows 7 was being no longer, it was no longer being, or sorry, no, that was before Windows 7. Windows XP was no longer being supported. And the city needed to refresh, I think, 10,000 computers. And what they were going to do is they were going to send these computers up north to be recycled. And I was able to convince city leaders somehow that, you're sending jobs outside of the community because, one, these should be processed here locally. And two, the digital divide is vast in Los Angeles County.
Mm-hmm.
People can use these upcycled devices that you're going to get rid of and you're going to ship up north. They would the city leaders in the ITA department toured our very, very, very modest warehouse at the time. I think it was like less than 1,000 square feet on a very hot summer day. It felt like working out of a tin can. And so like they were sweating and, touring our facility, learning about our data security processes and how our logistics and all these things. But after that, they must have liked what they saw, regardless of the heat and our young faces, that they said, okay, well, we'll give you guys a shot. We'll give this a try. And it eventually became very successful, where we were able to donate half of those devices out to various communities out across LA County. And it was a really cool, I think, lighthouse moment for other cities to take notice and saying you can do something more with your unwanted technology to not only help the planet, but help the community members who may be left on the wrong side of the digital divide. And when you have an entity like the city of Los Angeles kind of back you and kind of,
right,
these guys are legit, like they really was a good experience. That's when the snowball begins to grow.
Yeah, that ripple effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Other cities. Too, yeah.
There are many examples like that, right? You get one lighthouse customer after another, and then all of a sudden your reputation does a lot of the work for you.
Yeah. And, speaking with some now newer emerging technologies like AI, is there anything that kind of excites you most for advancing digital equity?
Yes, and scares me a little bit. The digital divide it's like trying to fight the flu virus, because it's constantly evolving. Like it's not one vaccine and then you don't have to like get your flu shot next year, because it's different. And that's what fighting the digital divide feels like sometimes, because technology is advancing, it's changing form factors and software and what businesses want their workers to have in terms of like skill sets and experiences, and what people need to learn. Before it was about coding. You remember that time, right? Everyone was coding, and then AI came around, and that all changes and evolves the digital divide. And if people can't keep up with those changes, they don't develop the right skills to stay competitive. And then it has this compounding effect to where, people get left behind, and, we have a lot of problems that I won't get into here, but, that kind of compound on us societally. And so in a way, AI is, from my vantage point, it's a very powerful technology that can be a great equalizer, like the internet was. Right? I mean, access to information is empowering, but you got to know how to decipher through fake information and quality information. But either way, you got to figure that out. You got to have access. Otherwise, there's no option to not partake in the internet today. Like you can't just skip it, the internet, right? And AI is kind of
everything.
Exactly. It's like, hey, brother doesn't care how you feel about it. Like it's just what it is. And AI is becoming similar. Right. And so the way I'm looking at it is like, wow, this is going to exacerbate the digital divide if we don't learn the lessons that we learned when the internet was launched. Right. And so we have to get people comfortable, ready with equipment, internet connections, and training to say, hey, I know this may be scary for you, but you need to participate, because it's here to stay. Required. It's here to stay. It's not a fad. Yeah. Right. But if the people who participate and lean in and really take advantage of that can pull themselves into a much better situation, whether by starting their own company or developing the skills to get a job that they may not have been able to land in the past, or even getting into a school like Cal State Long Beach, right? Yep. Because of what they know and what they've been able to do with their laptop and an internet connection and AI knowledge. So there's a lot of really cool things that can happen if we do the right things and continue to fight the digital divide and make sure that these technologies support the most vulnerable among us. And so it's not just helping a small percentage of us who lean into these things, but it's really helping everybody.
Right.
And that's why Human IT is here to help ensure happens.
Amazing. I love that. Yeah, creating accessibility for all. And oh, it looks like we got a question in the chat. I think you may have touched upon it a little, but the question is, human IT is an important contributor to the digital divide work in Long Beach. Are there similar activities in other cities where you currently operate, or companies, or is your company active in those communities as well?
Yeah, so we do a lot of work in Long Beach, of course, but um, with some amazing partners and funders, we are able to take our impact national.
Okay.
And so just last year in 2025, which just ended, of course, we were able to donate 50,000 laptops completely free of charge in 450 cities, across the nation and communities across the nation, just in 1 year. We're
Oh
going
my
to do the
gosh.
same thing, and we're hoping to do even more of that in 2026. But we want to build like platforms. We can't shrink the digital divide or eliminate the digital divide ourselves, right? It's
Right.
it's too big of a whale to handle alone. But we want to make as big of a dent as we can, and we
Hmm.
realize that we can't be physically in every community all the time helping the people who really need it. So that's why we built our Human IT online platform. So that way, if people can hear about it, like some of our mission and what we do, they can maybe use their cell phone or use an internet connection that they have to find a very high quality, low cost laptop. Or
Hmm.
we sell like these hotspots for internet, which are only like, I think it's like $15 a month for unlimited high speed internet, which is a lot less than I pay, which is like $100 a month at this point. So we realize that cost is the biggest barrier here for a lot of
Right.
families. So we're trying to do our best by lowering the cost, but without lowering the quality, right? Like
Hmm.
that's that takes a lot of effort and teamwork to create a situation like that, where you can keep the quality and the cost down and scale it out across the country, and what we're hoping to do in the future across the globe. It takes a lot of infrastructure, capital, and talent to do that.
Yeah. Just continuing to grow and scale your guys'
Mm-hmm.
team too. And so some other stuff, now thinking kind of more on like that entrepreneurial lens, what advice would you give any, current students or alumni that are aspiring social entrepreneurs, especially those that may similarly have limited resources, kind of like how you started?
Yes. Don't be enamored by like the ultimate outcome, right? Like focus on just starting. Like
Hmm.
focus on just creating value right away, even if it's small. Like when James and I first started, it was literally giving out 5 desktop towers. Like now we give laptops out, but like before it was like desktop towers
Those
and we got
big bulky ones. Yeah.
right. It would just be like, maybe it wasn't what we ultimately wanted to do, right? Which is
Hmm.
what focus on laptops, but it was a start. It was still a computer, right? It was still us driving in our 1999 Suburban that was donated to it was a nonprofit who needed a computer to do their work, and donating 5 desktops and monitors and cables and setting it up and literally being the ones to set it up, and just so we can showcase that we were serious about action,
Hmm.
and that we want to move beyond planning and beyond just talking about what the problem is, and
Hmm.
and be a part of the solution, even if it was a drop in the bucket.
Right.
Who
That small
cares?
step.
Yeah, it's just the small step, and you just take the next small step and the next small step. And if you can do that, you can showcase it's really the grit and the perseverance that's required to be an
Hmm.
entrepreneur who bootstraps and is mission driven. Like that's what we need. It feels like sometimes you're fighting with one hand behind your back and
Hmm.
surviving, but that's what makes social entrepreneurs special, in my opinion. Um, and if you can just be resilient, showcase value right away, don't worry about the ultimate end about like, oh, well, I need to make this much or I need to reach this scale. If you can just survive the day, create that inertia, create the flywheel, the money will,
Hmm.
the opportunities will come. If you can really showcase the right business value propositions where people are forced to pay attention to you.
Right. Yeah. And then that you build those relationships with those, cities like City of Los Angeles who bet on you guys. And then, yeah, that snowball effect.
Exactly.
And what's one decision that you made early as a leader that you think you would do completely different now, knowing what you've learned now?
Well, it's like a ton, I mean, like I said, I have a lot of scars. So, but it's hard to like say, you don't know what type of butterfly effect that would have. Like you need to,
Uh-huh.
don't be afraid of the mistakes. Like you're going to make mistakes. You need to go through those experiences to become the leader or the professional or whatever that you need to become. So it's not like I would take any of it back.
Hmm.
But if I can still reach an ultimate outcome without having to go through so much pain, is surround yourself with other people.
Oh, I think we lost you a little. Hmm. May have lost Gabe right during that great tip. See if it come back.
My back.
Oh, you're back.
Okay.
We cut off with surround yourself with people.
Yeah, sometimes everyone experiences the digital divide, even for a second sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh, um, Surround yourself with passionate people who care about the similar things that you do, right? And then build trust over, like, give them the space to help you.
Hmm.
Sometimes I could be, especially early on in my journey, maybe a little bit too controlling, right? Because I wanted
Mm-hmm.
something to be done a particular way at a certain, like now at a certain
And
speed.
it's also your vision too, though. So you think it's,
Exactly.
you
But
think how it should be.
yeah, sometimes it's best for you just to give space. Like the other people got to have scars too, and grain
Mm-hmm.
experiences too, and they want the same thing you do, and they want to help in
Mm-hmm.
their way. And you need the diverse perspectives and the diversity and different skill sets and capabilities and thoughts for it to be sustainable anyway. And
Yeah.
so I would say take the long view on people, understand that none of this is possible without great people around you,
Hmm.
and by showcasing and acting a certain way, you're going to attract even more talented people even faster, because of the culture that you can create to do great work.
Yeah, great point. And with this type of industry that you're building and learning as you go, how important would you say like mentorship is in this type of industry? And do you have any mentors? Have you ever had any mentees before?
I think mentors are very important depending on what
Hmm.
you need,
Okay.
right? And there's so many different ways to success. Like my way is not by any means the only way to
Hmm.
accomplish something that you want to, your ambitions. Um, I think mentors are really great if you need a little bit more help with maybe like long-term accountability, right?
Okay.
And vision. Like what a good mentor does is like they keep you on track,
Right.
right? And if that's something that you really need, then a mentor is great to have. I
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really have a lot of mentors in that form.
Okay.
But what I think is really important, and it's more of like a professor-student relationship, which like, yeah, you can encounter a really great professor that's maybe not your mentor, but you learn a lot from. And um, I think I was lucky enough to realize that you have to deal well with what you don't know, as you start to grow, and you have to be really good at that, which means you have to bring in experts and ask
Mm.
really great questions to maybe those experts or that particular teammate that you brought in. So I've surrounded myself with a lot of really talented individuals who have skill sets and talents that are far beyond mine and are smarter than me, that I've been able to ask questions relative to maybe a situation or a barrier or opportunity that I needed that particular skill set or perspective for. And
And
then
how did you go about finding those people though?
two ways, right? I think like I said, once you start building the inertia and you showcase enough value in enough situations, people start to notice.
Okay.
And then they start to seek you out in a lot of ways, and you start getting
Mm-hmm.
access to rooms maybe you didn't want to have access to just because I wanted to in the beginning. You
Mm-hmm.
have to, I didn't have that access in the beginning. I had to really work for those connections,
Right.
right? And to be in certain rooms and gain certain perspectives at the right time. And to
Mm-hmm.
be quite honest with you, that it makes sense that it works that way because you need to go through certain experiences for you to even understand what questions you need to ask. And
Right.
so, just over time, you start grow your network, and you have more resources available to you to, ask key questions. But more so than just like friends and acquaintances and, other CEOs who are scaling and growing companies, I like 80% of the value that I get in terms of like getting quality direction and guidance is from my own team, right? Even people who report to me, right, who are experts in their own areas.
Right.
I have a culture to where, it's best idea wins. And my guy, like I said, it's a meritocracy. I don't know a lot. I know that. And I make sure that they know that's, I know
We're all
I'm
faking
not,
it till we
yeah,
make it.
I'm not wearing a crown over here. Right. And so I need
Yeah.
help. Um, and so, yeah, just learning quickly, asking really good questions, surrounding myself with an amazing team first, and
Mm-hmm.
then building out my network second to be able to ask different questions by people who maybe are not so close to the painting that is your mission,
Mm-hmm.
right, that are on their own missions but are kind of going through some other experience, a similar
Similar.
enough
Right.
experience for them to maybe have a perspective that you need, which I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
say is a strict mentor mentee relationship, right? So that's the path I chose. That's where I really lean into, but that's just my path, right?
Right.
That's not the only way to do it.
Okay. I mean, good. That's a good point. Yeah. Getting those lived experiences will definitely help you come up with like those more detailed questions and pinpoint those people that could help support you in navigating those challenges.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, I mean, with that, kind of starting to wrap up this call now, is there any other advice that you feel would be great for our 49ers, that maybe are interested in a career in your social enterprise type of industry, or, just even with your background and your career journey?
Yeah, thanks for that opportunity. I would just say, I would take this chance to create a call to action.
Mhm.
We are in a turbulent time in so many ways for so many reasons, and we need talented people who care about, and people who have a sense of empathy, which I think students at Cal State Long Beach have, and the community of Long Beach at large has, which is why I love it so much. And we need people who have this care and have the skill sets and talents to direct them in the right direction to help others unlock their fullest potential, or to help our planets, or to go beyond just yourself, whatever it is you're trying to create. And so I would just say, anyone who may be even an iota of inspired to lean into your purpose and be mission
Mhm.
driven, do it. We need you more than ever. So if you're doubtful in any way, I would say, lean in.
Yeah, be a change maker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great advice. I love that. All right. Well, let me see if I don't know if we have any other questions that came up in the chat. Looks like we don't have anything else. We touched upon that one that we had asked earlier, but okay, so looks like we'll be able to wrap up since we don't have any other questions. Thank you again, Gabe, for joining us today. Again, after today, we'll post this on our YouTube page, so you'll be able to review this recording again. Please follow Gabe on Human IT on socials, on LinkedIn. Spread the word of the great work that his nonprofit is doing. And thank you guys for your time, and go Beach.
Go Beach. Thank you.